Okay, my beautiful friends, are you ready to have some fun? Because we are. We always have fun. And that's the truth here. So, this is my, of course, absolutely lovely. And yes, I'm in a good mood. Why is Greg Mannarino in a good mood? Honestly, probably because I'm here with all of you. That's the truth. Markets today, really nothing special going on. But still, doesn't matter. Remember, in case you forgot, we are surrounded with what? What am I going to tell you? Little puffs of loveliness. And they're just everywhere. They're just all over the freaking place. And they make me happy, just like you do. All right, people. So, yes, as I said, post-market wrap-up. And we have some stuff to talk about. Before we get to the markets, I want to just cover a little bit of the headlines here. So home builder sentiment continues to crater. I mean, this is like an ongoing saga. It doesn't stop here. Okay, what does that tell us? Things are pretty damn shitty. But I think we knew that already. Core inflation continues to rise. Imagine my shock here. Core inflation, minus food and energy. They always like to strip those things out because they feel that price action in food and energy, is just temporary or transitory. Okay, how's that working out? How about it isn't? Anyway, with regard to food and energy, people, look, we already know what they're doing here. There's going to be shortages, food, water, supplies, and with regard to energy, same damn thing. So what can we expect? Well, you tell me. Okay, you don't got to be a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out. Now, with that said, let's just go look over here at this market. Okay, we finished lower today across the board. Let me just say this. When you have a sell-off on a Friday followed through by a sell-off on a Monday, it's generally not a good sign. We'll see how it plays out because risk in this market, although it remains elevated, is stable, at least for now. But the fact of the matter is, the bad economic news doesn't stop. And it won't stop because, again, what are central banks doing? Deliberately going out of their way to make sure they crush the economy, bring the world economy and an entire class of people to their knees so central banks can fulfill their end game. Speaking of that, I want to read this to you, and I want you to have this. All right, we'll talk more about that in a moment. So on the back of the market selling off today, okay, nothing major. 10-year yield came up, relative dollar strength, flat, MMRI slightly higher. Crude oil did pretty good. About the only winner today was crude oil. Bitcoin, crypto's falling under some pressure here. Gold and silver, same thing. All right, all well, lovely, fantastic, and good. What are you and I doing about all this? We're not going to deviate ever from our plan. Our plan is epic. Betting against the debt, becoming our own central bank, understanding the debt hyper bubble is going to get a lot worse. And with regard to the debt hyper bubble, we're going to go back to this here. Clearly, people, there are cracks in the global debt hyper bubble. We've seen this for a long time. We've had instability in the debt market, all that wavering all over the place. Just a couple of months ago, central banks jumping in here, kind of, buying it all so they can push the illusion of stability, hoping that people are just going to get off on it. And look, the disconnect, as you all know, between the markets and the economy continues to get greater. The stock market is in la-la land, wherever that may be. It's not a nice place from what I've heard. Okay, I don't want to be in la-la land. Let's talk about reality. So what I want to do is I want to read this to you. But not only do I want to read this to you, I want you to have your own copy of this. If you are a subscriber to my free newsletter, this is already in your inbox. So check your inbox. If you are not a subscriber to my free newsletter, subscribe and you will get a copy of this. And I just want to go over this with you. And I want to, like I always do when I read these things, I want to cover a little bit more. This is only about one page and about that much, so it's really not a lot, but it's very important. And when I write some of these, I want you to have it because I want you to make a file of something you could look back on in the future, or stuff just to study, because this stuff, trust me on this, you're not going to find anywhere else. So the title of this article Visible signs of a cracking debt hyperbubble. Let's talk about this, you and me. By me, all right? Some of this stuff is review. Some of it's going to be new. If you're new here, stick around because you're going to like it. So people, what do you and I know? Okay, this is not here, but I'm going to just say it. Consumer debt, household debt, personal debt continue to skyrocket with no end in sight here, and it's not going to stop. This is a phenomenon that you and I have discussed right here from I don't know how long ago, how this would play out, and it's happening right before our eyeballs. Truly. All right, so here we go. The average person here in the United States and around the world is dangerously over-leveraged. What does that mean? They're borrowing and continue to borrow. Meanwhile, let's read on. And yet they continue to borrow even more. Credit card debt is exploding as people are struggling just to make ends meet. People are using their credit cards not just to make a purchase that they're going to pay off over time, but to survive. To survive. And this is, again, causing people to be very hyper over-leveraged. And that's a very dangerous situation. What is the backbone of this? Debt, slavery, slaves to the system, something I talk about every freaking day. All right, let us move forward here. Okay, with no end in sight, loan defaults across the board are picking up, and according to TransUnion, you know, the big credit rating agency, loan defaults will continue to accelerate moving forward. Today, 63% of U.S. households, according to their own numbers, are currently living paycheck to paycheck with zero savings, and yet these same people continue to borrow. They continue to borrow. What are they doing? They're assuring themselves a front row seat on the dog shit train down the rat hole into financial obscurity and debt slavery. And that's really what this is all about. Second part, banks are in trouble. No, you are. Why is that? Okay, as I have covered over the past, I don't know how long, maybe a month. No deposits, no loans, no deals. What's going on here? Okay, so I've explained to all of you that the banks are in trouble. But the fact of the matter is, you're in trouble because you can expect the banks will survive anything. You and me, we're expendable, okay? Bail-ins, bailouts, however it works. So let me just keep going. Bank liquidity is literally drying up as the savings rate is now in the negative. Okay, no secret. New viable loans, that is loans that will actually be paid back, are few and far between, as former members of the middle class are defaulting on their debt at an accelerated pace. Right? This is not Greg Mannarino. This is verifiable information. Meanwhile, and this is what's going on here, as rates are rising, the rich people and the well-off people, let me just read this. Meanwhile, the rich and well-off are now using cash to purchase big-ticket items like real estate and cars, automobiles, as interest rates rise. So the rich and the well-off, they're sidestepping the whole debt slavery system as it costs more to borrow. So, hey, they're putting cash to work. But the rest of the people are taking it straight, deep, and hard in the gabagool. All right, here we go. The current environment for banks is not good, and that should scare you. Why? Because these institutions will not be allowed to fail. You remember too big to fail? No, you can fail, they won't fail, okay? So bail-ins and bailouts will again at some point in the future become a reality. How many of you doubt that what I just said is true? Do you believe, first of all, you know how the financial system works. It's insolvent, period. And it operates in fantasy land. So with that said, you're going to bail it all out. Either bail in or bail out. You decide, maybe both. All right. Next section. Inflation continues to rise. Despite the current actions of the Federal Reserve, Swiss National Bank, European Central Bank, and the Bank of England, all of which just miraculously by coincidence all raised rates the same amount, 50 basis points, inflation continues to rise. Therefore, the currencies which they lend to the world, these central banks lend their currency to the world, including you, okay? They lend this currency to you because the bills in your pocket or your bank accounts are not yours. You may work for them. You may get up every day and pour your sweat into earning or getting these units of debt in your accounts here, but they're not yours. They are owned by the issuing central bank and owed back to the issuing central bank plus interest that they create out of nothing, out of thin freaking air. Well, this continues to lose more of its purchasing power virtually every single day. Real wages, that is the actual, what people are earning based against the actual rate of inflation, is in free fall, again with no end in sight. Henceforth, why people are swiping and swiping and swiping and swiping their freaking credit cards. Ever-expanding money supply. I broke this into little important sections for you. The fact is this, and you know this already if you are a follower of this blog. Without the continual expansion of the global money supply, the entire financial system would lock up. Every central bank issued note, in whatever form it may exist in, represents a unit of debt. You all know this, which must be paid back to the lovely issuing central bank plus interest created from nothing. Here we go again. The overall effect of an expanding money supply is inflation. Duh. Meanwhile, the "der" is not in there. Central banks, via the mainstream propaganda ministries, continue to sell the lie that by raising rates at some time in the future, a miracle is going to happen. A freaking miracle. And inflation is going to drop. The silence is deafening. All right. As you well know, you're very versed in this if you follow this blog, but pay attention. If any central bank actually wanted to stop or control inflation, all it would have to do is contract the money supply by requiring the financial institutions to increase their capital reserves. Can I get a duh, please? Okay. To date, not a single mainstream financial channel has uttered a word on this, nor a single politician, nor a central banker, and you won't hear anything ever about this anywhere. Okay, this is a big secret that's being kept from the people of the world. Why? Well, because the goal of every central bank is to continue to inflate. And if people for a nanosecond were told that central banks could in fact contract the money supply, again, by having financial institutions increase capital reserves, then that would poof cause inflation to disappear. Well, then people would start to say, wait a minute, what's going on here? They can't be allowed to know the truth. Okay, so the goal of every central bank is to continue to inflate. This is why you're never going to hear about what I just told you. A central bank's ability to inflate, to issue debt, is their single source of power, which also means it's their Achilles heel. Bring down the central banks. You know what I'm going to tell you, at least I hope so. You want to end central banking, people? It's easy. It's a simple thing to do. Honestly, now listen, I'm going to sum this up in 2 more sentences and we're done. Prevent a central bank from issuing $1 single of more debt. The nanosecond that a central bank is stopped from issuing more debt, as the currency itself is debt, the entire central banking system ends. And I want to show you this last part. Are you ready? And we win. And we win. Until central banking comes to an end, none of this is going to stop. It's going to get exponentially worse as the propaganda and the lies and the tales and the distractions get even worse. You understand? This is very important stuff, people. And I can guarantee you there are very few people in the world, honestly, that understand what I just put in this 1.5 page. And like I said, I want you to have this. And if you subscribe to my free newsletter, it's already in your inbox. So get your copy of this, make a file, study this stuff. Look, share this stuff. If you do get a copy from my free newsletter, you know, feel free to share this stuff, because I can guarantee you're not going to find this stuff anywhere else. And I think it's so important for us to all understand what's happening. And I think you would have to agree. I don't know what people are waiting for. Maybe you do. Maybe you can enlighten me. The situation is dire, and it's going to get even worse. But what are people doing about it? Nothing. See, you and I, we're trying to make a difference. All I want to do on this, when I pass away one day, I want people to say, there was a guy, his name was Greg Mannarino, who tried to make a positive difference in the world, who really put all he could into trying to educate people and bring them up to speed as to how the global financial system really works. Its dark underbelly. That's all I want to be remembered for. I'm being honest. A guy who tried to make a positive difference in the world. And I hope I am. All of you out here, you have no idea the difference, the positive difference you make in my life. I read through these comments and I see the frustration. I listen to them, and you guys and girls out there, and I see most of you are on the same page as I am, and that makes me feel good to realize that I'm not the only one. I really think, gauging from the fact that this video blog is now nearing on 100 million views, we're doing something right. As I always tell you, this isn't my thing, just Greg Mannarino. It's just our thing. Like I say, if it weren't for you guys and girls, who would even know I freaking exist? Or this blog exists. It's all of you who take this stuff, who share it, who get this stuff out on your social networks. I'm nowhere. I count on all of you to do that. This is not my thing. It's our thing. You know what I'm saying? All right, look, I'm going to let you go. It's getting kind of long, but I want to hear from you. If you do have a copy of this, please leave me a comment. I'm already getting a lot of comments about this. On my free newsletter, there's an area where people can comment there, and let's all contribute in a positive way. And like I said, try to make a positive difference in the world. It's really all that matters to me. All right, this guy here loves you a lot. I mean that, and I'll see you all in the morning. I'm looking forward to it. That's all.